it's David Vibes. Welcome to another Zelda Tears of the Kingdom video. In this video, I want to show you 5 easy and fun ways to fight the Demon King's army. Probably consider abuse the Demon King's army. Safety first. This one is for the player who really is bad at combat or afraid of the gloom damage, doesn't want to deal with so many enemies. It involves a very simple build. So I went to Tarrytown and built this device. It has 4 metal poles and an elevated fort. So the poles are the legs and the fort on top. 2 wheels. So it was based on the beam spinner schematic. So you will see what this does. At the start, you're going to do auto build and just drop it right there. Don't spend any time rotating. Just put it down and take as little damage as possible. And then you're going to ascend into the device. This has a steering stick in there, so you have the option of either actually holding on to the steering stick or just activating it and let it run automatically. I'm letting it run automatically so that I can show you the damage that's being dealt, but just look at that bar. This has flame emitters, frost emitters, and beam emitters, as you can see. I do not use cannons. Cannons cause it to bounce away, and in my opinion just aren't as good from a DPS standpoint. Again, the device is going to be there and your battery recharges at the start of each fight, so you don't have to worry about how low your battery was in the previous sequence. And this is it. Run away from the Lizalfos and get into your little fort. You do not need a roof. You could put a roof on here if you want to. That's going to be an additional 3 zonite to build. But you don't need a roof for most of this fight. The walls are high enough so that enemies can't throw things in there. Of course, the Gibdo fight is a little bit different because there are enemies that are actually flying. And so you'll see how I deal with the flying enemies and why this, in my opinion, is the safest way to deal with the Demon King's army. As you know, the most annoying part of the Gibdo section of the Demon King's army are the flying Gibdo who puke this green vomit at you. Well, these walls are high enough, so you don't have to worry about that, and you will see that repeatedly as they try to squirt. You are safe. So this is literally the safest way to approach a Demon King's army, and this is actually how I beat the army on my first playthrough, which was a blind run. My kids and I wanted to build a fort before we go and face the final boss, and we wanted to be super prepared. This was the fort design that we came up with, and it worked. So super safe. Simple build, use concrete, I'm not using metal, no difference in cost. And of course, to take out the flying Gibdos, you just fire an arrow to the face, easily jump out, you can get bullet time. And then this is how the device works against the final group. Of course, these are the moblins. Interesting spawn, but they are so slow, easy. And then just watch the damage and watch that bar. Yeah. 0 durability being used. And that's the fight. Now for the Ice Wizard. This is actually my favorite strategy. This is the one that I tend to do the most when I want to show people just what the game looks like, or what this last fight is, or why I think it's so much fun. I was a worshipper of the Blizzard Rod in Breath of the Wild, and so early on in Tears of the Kingdom I wanted to figure out how to make such an OP weapon. So obviously you're going to be using magic rods, magic staffs. I prefer the rod because it's one-handed, so a magic rod with a sapphire, and as the tooltip says, gems with rods are OP. It literally says that it brings out more power from them. So in this case, I'm here to spin to win. So I freeze and then go to town. I'm wearing the Royal Guard's armor because obviously the charge attack stamina is reduced, so you can get into your charge animation quicker, and it is insanely fun. You can use an Ice Lizalfos tail attached to a 2-handed weapon and spin to win. Problem with both the Blizzard Rod and the Lizalfos tail is that they run out. They have a charge time and you have to wait for them to recharge. So keep in mind, you have to switch weapons and switch back. This is the best way to do it. I start with a dazzle fruit attached to a core rock weapon, blind them, and then I'm pulling out a giant boomerang with a frost gleacorn. Frost gleacorns, well, all gleacorns have no cooldown. You just keep spinning. As long as you have stamina, it is going to be charged up. You do not have to switch weapons. You're good to go. This works with frost, with flame, and obviously with lightning as well. Now we're moving on to the air assault. Bullet time plus multi-shot bows. You don't need to fight a Lionel. Just go to the top of the Deku tree. Every blood moon, this specific forest dweller's bow is going to respawn. That's 3 shots. You don't care about the damage because we're going to be firing gems. So in this case, I start with a bomb shield to get height, to give some extra damage, and I'm fusing rubies. Any gems work. You have to be aware of the AoE blast damage, so you need to get height. For the second one, I'm showing you using a spring shield, getting enough height. I'm shooting at the top of my jump. And then of course, our favorite in this game, rocket shields. The safest way to get the furthest away from the blast. And just like the third trailer of this game, fusing gems to arrows is a good thing. If we're in our Breath of the Wild mindset, we want to hold on to those gems to sell them. To be honest, you want to use gems with multi-shot bows. Look at that. It was that simple. Now for a ninja approach. You want a forest dweller sword or a forest dweller spear with a puff shroom tip. As the game explains, for these weapons, any bursting material on the tip is reused. It is OP, sneak strikes all day, have fun. 2 things to remember: sneak strikes typically do 8 times damage, then 8-fold blade they do 16 times damage. And of course there's a cooldown period when you switch the weapon, so you have to wait about 3 or 4 seconds for it to pop. You just saw the smoke pop and then you can use it. And now on to the Outsourcer. This build in my opinion is very efficient because you are not taking any durability. We get to use the zone eye devices that this game introduced. So on the way down I fire hover stone from my arrow, so in the menu you can just select to attach the hover stone just like you'd attach a fire fruit. And then I build the device, auto build. It has, as you can see, a stabilizer on there. It is not on, so it will not be upright. But I don't care how it lands, because once I touch the ground, the cutscene starts. When I activate the device during the fight, it's going to flip onto its wheels, so it's going to be upright. That is why the stabilizer is on there. This is a lot of fun. This is a homing cart. It has a frost emitter on one side, a flame emitter on one side, and then beam emitters on both sides on the ends. And so as you can see, enemies are going to be surrounding us, and you have to remember there is going to be friendly fire. The devices do not know the difference. So use a rocket shield, get up in the air, and then fire another hover stone. The first hover stone you fired is going to deactivate, so it will not affect the battery. And remember, the battery is going to reset every single phase of the fight. So don't worry about how far it's drained before the next fight. You don't need to stop and hide and let it recharge. It will fully recharge before each fight it resets. The problem with the bokoblins, as you can see, is that they throw rocks. So versus the rest of the phases, this is actually the one where you're more likely to get damage. Remember that your battery resets at the start of every fight, and you will not start on top of the hover stone. So you have to have ascend ready. You have to look up and get there. Now we ascend into the hover stone and we sit and watch pretty much. That's really what we're going to be doing. So I'm going to let this one play out so you can see what happens for each of the remaining phases. Obviously this is now with the Gibdos. This actually is, in my opinion, the smartest way to do the Gibdo fight if you're not going to build a little fort that we had at the start of the video. You want elevation. The Gibdos on the ground don't affect you. Your device, you could just even use a basic schematic of the icebreaker, for example, or the charger. They will go to town on the floor, and these Gibdos are going to be lower than typically where your hover stone is, the flying one. So as they come up, fire fruit to the face with a bow. That's it. This is the last phase. You can see what happens next. Again, you start on the ground. Friendly fire is a problem, so make sure you have your rocket shield out. Get out, Of course, moblins do not have bows to shoot at you, so you are super safe getting up in the sky, and they are all aggroed on our little helpers. So this is the final one. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Go and have some fun. Go and rep the Demon King's army. Try some builds and feel free to share some more ideas in the comments of what you have done. Easy ways and fun ways to defeat the Demon King's army.